Welcome everybody to the Sail Summit 2026. Let me introduce myself. My name is Marcel Schutterlij, and I'm Commodore of Yacht Club Schevingen. And that's, who doesn't know Yacht Club Schevingen? It's the most and the best yacht club along the North Sea coast, at least at this side of the coast. Is everybody, a lot of people are attending here, so is everybody eager to hear about all the masterclasses? Can I hear some noise of you? Yeah? You see quite a lot of people. This is the 5th event we have in 7 days. Now, planning is something we are not so good in, so a little bit too much event from the people of the bar, but everybody is present, and we will make a beautiful afternoon of this, which will be very inspiring. Can I hear how many of you, and I can't ask it from the people who are watching on TV, because a lot of people are looking at a live monitor of this event, but how many of you are sailing races? May I see the hand? General races in general. Okay. Are there people who don't race? Yeah, at least a few of them. Very brave. Keep on going. Are there people who are there people who prescribe themselves already for racing the double-handed 2026, which is being organized here in May? Who has already prescribed? I see, yeah, one applause for them. And if you are a bit shy to go forward for the races, please don't be. We want to have some more boats to compete with each other, because this is one of the most beautiful races there will be in 2026. Are there people doubting to enter the races? Nobody. Wim? Not yet. Okay. He has a beautiful ship, but it's not very suitable for double-handed races. So, welcome to the area of Yacht Club Schevingen. We organize a lot of races during winter. Last Sunday, we had very nice races, and we will continue so. Then it comes to the month of May, and in May we have the North Sea Regatta. It always first starts with a race to Harwich. We stay there for a day, have a big party with the Royal Harwich Yacht Club, which is always beautiful. And then we sail back to the Yacht Club. That's the week before Pinksteren. Yeah, okay. And then with Pinksteren we have the double-handed World Championship, and we have the North Sea Regatta races inshore. And we also have some club races. So for everybody with a boat here, there is a possibility to start racing or to do almost professional racing. I'm very glad, mostly. I'm very glad that everybody's here and that you are here for this program. From 2 till 4 o'clock, we have several masterclasses of very experienced and renowned sailors who will explain you everything about the current and the wind and all the situations before the coast. So that will be very interesting, and it's necessary to perform well on the races. And then we have a kind of, how you call it, a session, a winning tactics session, we mostly call it. And this all will be chaired and presented by Michelle Witzenberg. Michelle is the helm of Moana. She is one of the few female helms in the race competition. And if you know the performance and the results of the races of Moana, I think we know that she and Frans and the rest of the crew, they are fantastic. So a big hand for Michelle.
Well, thank you very much, Marcel, for your kind words also. Well, it's a great pleasure to have you here, and we can host for you the Summit 2026. It is great place, Marcel said, the best place in the Netherlands to be, and on a rainy day, but it's not so rainy anymore in January. We have a nice agenda with a lot of great
speakers
items.
Okay.
We have 3 masterclasses. First, Isbrand and will tell you all about, well, actually chapter 1 of racing, from registration to the race mode. Then second, John van der Starre, all about winning tactics in exciting waters. And last but definitely not least, Yvonne Beusker and Erik van Vuren will tell you all about great teamwork. But that's not all of it for today. We will continue with some other sessions. Wim van Sloten reveals a bit about the racing courses. And after the break, with coffee and tea or something else, we will invite you at the Winning Tactics table, and the pros will discuss the questions. You see some cards in front of you. After the master classes, it's nice if you have some questions. We have not very much time to answer those questions, but you can write your question down. Please write down your name, and please write down to who you are asking the question to. Have a question for John, or a question for Yvonne and Erik, or a question for Isbrand. Please tell your own name, your question, and then in the break we will sit together and select some nice questions who think we are interesting for you to hear the answer to. And we will discuss those answers. After the Winning Tactics table, Frans van Capelle will tell something about the race calendar from the Jachtclub Schevingen 2026. We have a lot of races and a lot of opportunities for you to race and to compete. And I hope today will help you maybe to enhance your chances on the water to win some races as well, or at least a podium place maybe. So, but first, the masterclass. The first one will be Isbrand Ent. He will start today. You see some highlights of his track record with a nice picture of the Globe 40. It's an incredible track record. I had to make a summary of it because he won a lot of races. He sailed numerous races, work races. And of course, we know him from winning the Globe 40 with Frans Boedel and with the Sekhaiai.
Former Sekhaiai.
Former Sekhaiai, yes. Currently, he is busy with his upcoming campaign, IMOCA 60. And Isbrand, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, thank you for this introduction. Shall I use the mic as well?
Yes.
I think I have to. Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm here to discuss the topic on, okay, you subscribed for the double-handed race upcoming June, and then what are you going to do between now and then, basically? And I hope a few of you did already subscribe. Who did already? Okay, a few hands. Good, great. That's good to hear. So I hope I can give you some there's some insights and some ideas how to proceed from now on until you reach the starting line. And obviously there will be some gray areas between me and my other co-speaker. So sometimes I might be the one who's being asked not to tell anything about the topic. Feel free to ask, but then I'll transfer that to either Erik or John. And they will, I just ask them, please give me a sign if I'm too much on your field of expertise, because obviously they know as much as this field as I know, and vice versa. Okay. So basically, how to win a double-handed race, and more importantly, preparation. And in my opinion, preparation is 80% of your final result. And this is not something I'm saying because it's a nice sentence. It's because I was involved from big ocean races like a Brunel, or more early in the Volvo 70 scene with the ABN AMRO, which started 2 years before the race even started, but also myself with the Class 40 Mini Transat, where, for instance, I did a 2011 Mini Transat, started prepping 2008, did a 22 Club 40, started prepping at 2019. So it takes time if you, it depends obviously a little bit on your level and on where you start, in combination with your co-skipper, how much time it takes. For instance, John got a new ship last year, but he has like an immense amount of miles with his co-skipper. So obviously he doesn't need 3 years. But if you start now with a new co-skipper, then basically the time frame is really, really short if you start now. And what do you need to do? Well, basically it's a circle. And it's a circle that is moving around those topics. And when you have used the first full circle, going from your hull to how to sail together, getting targets done, your training and your goals in the training, your interpretation between each other, your safety, basically your hardware and your software, and above self-reflection, you need a period of rest. And then you will take again, you take up the same points again, only on a deeper level. So it's important to understand that in your preparation, you will try to go through this list of details a few times, 3, 4, 5 times, because each time you will be able to achieve only 70 to 80% of your end goal. And each time you will make a step forward. And that's what you need, because each time you made the whole circle, the next time you're coming back to your first item, you will look into that same item with different eyes, with more knowledge. And I know a few guys here or a few ships here, basically a few teams here in the area here have been trained with me, like Marcel, but also Hans. We have done partly that. Last year, I started quite a lot on your ship, Marcel. And this year, I see in your results, I hear obviously from Anton that you're going through the same cycle, but with eyes, with experience within the team. And the things you learned in the first row, in the first circle, you're taking on again. So, for instance, the ship and the hull. These are a few pictures from the Sec High when we did the preparation. This is like during our second circle. In our first circle, during the first year, we broke a few things. We understood that there were vital parts of the ship that needed to be upgraded, like a boom that was going to split because it put too much power onto it, like the top piece here on your right top. You can see we even had to reinforce partly of the bulkheads on the foreship because we put so much tension on it. We started to break the nose. That was not very handy if you want to sail quickly, let alone if you want to do this around the world. The third one is a typical picture. This is how the hull looked outside. So obviously, when you have a hull that is not completely nice and trimmed, you will not go fast. So you need to work on that. And happily in the Netherlands, we have a lot of specialists who can help you with that. Eric is one of them. At the end of our third circle, I was discussing with him, hey, I have these problems with helming. And we discussed together about it, and he said to me, have you checked your rudder shape? Maybe you should look at it. And together with a friend of his, Arthur Peltzer, we looked at the shape. He checked my shape, the shape of the hull, and we discovered, first of all, the red line is the original shape of the rudder. The black line was a design like an upgrade. And he measured all those things, and he said, well, your rudders are way, way, way out of shape. The result was, when he brought them back into shape, that the helming was like 3 times as light, better, easier on your ship to move, less consumptions on my autopilot, and in the whole, a much easier ship to sail. And an easier ship to sail, in my opinion, will always transfer into a ship that sails fast. Because the easier a ship sails, the faster she will go with only 80% of your focus. And when you do an offshore race, maybe the first 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, depending on the person, you will have a lot of focus. But at one point, your focus will go down. And especially, obviously, with an offshore round the world race, we're not talking about hours, we're talking about days. And the leg was between 12 and 35 days. You can imagine focus will go down, especially when you get sleep deprivation, food deprivation, etc. So an easy sailing ship will always make you fast, in my opinion. And Eric totally agreed on that. And he helped me with that. And it was very much noticeable. And we are not talking about a few percent. We are talking about 8 to 10%. So huge, huge. And that's mainly because the amount of rudder I needed to give to make the boat move was like a third or even a fourth of what we used to have. And obviously rudder is basically a plank in the water. So any larger movement will just jeopardize your speed in a great situation. This is just a very clear example of how important it is to go through this circle again. With my Class 40 campaign, I went 3 times through the complete circle. That means 3 seasons in this case, 3 times on the shore, 3 times hull preparation, 3 times deck preparation, 3 times mast preparation, sails, etc., etc. And each time I took one up, and each time I managed to solve about 80%, 70%, and I decided to go on with that. And the next time we already had the 70%, obviously, so there was 30% left, but there was always an addiction, something added to what we needed to change, because we learned during the season what we extra wanted to change. And therefore you need to go through the cycle. And basically, John is doing the same now. He started with his ship last year. We spoke with each other like after your first race, during your North Sea race. And you said, well, we did quite good, but I have a large fucking list of things I need to change. So he went through the circle. And the next time we saw each other again, he was on the Fastnet. Way better. So much better performance. Suddenly he was on target. They made other mistakes. And there he goes again for his next circle. That's how it works. Please tell me if I'm talking bullshit, but I'm not, I know. Okay, so to give you some examples. Come the grounds. Who does what on board? Obviously, Eric and Yvonne will discuss and explain how they did it and how they look into that. But it's important between now and the moment you're on the starting line that you have figured that out intensely. Obviously, when I train double-handed teams, it's often the case that a owner is driving and his second skipper is doing the other things, whatever the other things may be. That's a lot of time the case. My first tip is swap the positions. I'm not saying in the race, but at least in several trainings. You will both learn from each other what you're missing. How can you help each other at certain positions? Maybe someone is at certain moments better in helming at a certain moment than the other. And at least you will understand each other better. because when you are on the foredeck and there's like 25 knots of wind and you have to swap some sail, it's very nice that you can trust your helmsman or woman who's standing in the back 10 meters behind you, or 12 or something like that. And you know you can trust him or her. And she understands, or he understands, what you are doing there. So discuss this. Put it on the table. What did you like? Why did he or she do this or that? Where you had trouble in getting your role, doing your work, so to speak. For instance, if you have to change your J2 to a J1 or J1 to a J2 foresail, that's often a little bit too late. Or you have to drop your spinnaker and there's a little bit too much wind because it's just a little bit too late. It's nice to know that the person behind the helm knows what to do to help you, and also knows what to do to not help you, because often that's the case. You cannot help each other on something that you don't know. So learn from each other. Talk with each other. How's my time frame going, by the way? Oh, I have some time. I have some time, eh?
You have some time.
Do I have some time? Yeah, she's my time guide, so I'm just
10
making
minutes.
sure that that I'm within the time frame. Okay. And again, on this circle, and with this topic, please use it within the same circle again. With France, when I started my round the world race, the first time we jibed, I know 15 knots of wind, 12 knots of wind. I asked him, how do you jibe? He was taught by his father and his family and his past. I said, well, there's maybe a little bit, quite a bit of wind. We'll drop the spinnaker, we jibe, hoist it again. Okay, that's a very safe way. You'll get your spinnaker back up, and looking in the whole broad situation on, say, 5,000 miles, then you lose a quarter or so, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, because before you back up to speed, it takes a lot of time. It also takes a lot of energy. So there's always a trade-off between safety, risk management, and the amount of energy you're gonna use. So we started training, and obviously I learned them how to jibe and with the sail up. And at the end of our round the world race, we jibed even at 25 knots. And obviously we went there because first at 50 knots, okay, we know how to we know how to jibe safely. And then that edge, that border, slowly moves forward. 15 becomes 18, 18 becomes 20, etc., etc. The confidence on the same part also grows. So we learned, for instance, that's better that when we jibe, he usually was on the helm, but in the end it was better if I was on the helm and he was managing the sheets because it went better. So swap places, go to the circle again and again and again as often as you can, will help you and give you a lot of information. Training. Obviously, as professional trainer, we all are, we don't often hire an external trainer anymore. We know the drills, we know how it works, we know how to get to a certain point. But if you are not a pro sailor, I would always advise you, if you have a larger list of things, topics you can't get your head around, or you don't know exactly how to get around, ask people who are pros, ask the three of us. Maybe you hire us for a day or two, or maybe a day or 5, because you will get in 5 days or in 2 days, probably 10 to 20 times more information, also directions where you can make steps forward in only a very limited amount of time. That's what we bring on the table. So much information, so much knowledge, we will give you the way forward. How to proceed with maneuvering, living on board, roles on board, navigation, etc., etc. Don't understand me wrongly. Of course, you will probably be able to figure it out yourself, but it will take time, a lot of time. And if you hire a professional sailor, he or she will give you so much information that you can make a lot of steps forward within a very, very short time, and you will benefit from it. So that is what it can bring. And again, in this circle, maybe in your first, well, let's say we have 5 months left. So in your first 1.5, 2 months, you'll have a whole list of things you want to increase on performance, whether it's boat handling or navigation or rolls or food or whatever you want to achieve. Take it home, try to cut a list, and say in March or in April, you will go again to that point and see where are we now. And did we make enough progression to be able to be at the starting line with enough confidence to at least play a nice role, be satisfied with your result when you have finished in the end the double-handed race. And if you're not there, try to figure out what do we need to do to get there. And then you look into the point, what does training bring? Discussing things is really important. If you don't do it, you just keep on going forward and you don't know where the point is in the distance. You only know that at the beginning of June we have the starting moment. But try to get some goals, to name some goals in between where you want to be at a certain moment, and take action if you don't get there. Unless, obviously, you don't want to get there. That's also fine. But it's your choice to be on the starting line. And it should be fun. And a good trainer will also bring you fun, because fun is also something we all like to do on the boat. Interpretation. I have seen a lot of times people being all the way in the nose, shouting something in the back, and the helmsman or woman needs to understand something. It's nice to understand from each other, what do you mean? What do you really mean? And also discuss this. It's as important as training, because you can start shouting and doing things, but taking that to another level, for instance, if you're talking about the ship doesn't feel good, okay, that's best fake, eh? That's the best fake sentence when you are sleeping in your bunk and you're, say, upwind sailing, and somebody steps in and he or she says, the ship doesn't feel good. Okay, what doesn't feel good? What do you mean? Can you help him or her? What can you do when you're back on your watch to get this feeling better? In what areas do you need to search for it? That will be answered partly by Eric and Yvonne. I take it, by the way. I hope. But trying to understand each other, know what you're saying. Of course, port is port and starboard is starboard. That's simple. But it's very close to helping each other when you swap roles or board sometimes in a training. And maybe also in a test race. And a lot of you are sailing here the ijspegel and ijskegel, so you will learn there. But try to put some daily goals on each race here. Don't go into racing here each second weekend with only one goal. We want to win. I think your goal, if you want to be on the starting line with the double-handed, is not to win here, but you want to achieve your best result in 5 months. So there are sub-goals. With France, for instance, when we sailed here the ijskegel as training, we also had these sub-goals, like testing our autopilot, like not using autopilot at the starting line, because that was a habit of France. That was not a very nice habit, because it's really dangerous. So you have to change habits sometimes. Maybe you have a new sail you want to test out. Test it in a race, at least one race, so you know how to use it. Maybe you want to test new lines. Maybe you want to test new procedures. That's all sub-goals you can use here during the ijskegel or the ijspegel. When you learn something from the quite difficult current and wind situations around here, after listening to John, try to use that as your main goal. And then your end position in such a race is not so important, but your goal is.
Nog een paar minuutjes.
Great. Thank you. We're not there yet. Well, obviously, safety is a very important thing. And safety is always in combination. You know, in combination between the training stuff we already discussed, the interpretation stuff, do we understand each other, and obviously also your hardware. How do you set up your hardware on the ship? Most ships will have a lifeline on the side as a standard thing. but why not think about having a lifeline through the middle? Because it might be 10 times safer and easier. But you have to work towards that to see, okay, what do I need to change and why, and what's the benefit? What's the positive or the negative part? But I do know that if you broach, so if the boat goes over 90 degrees and you are, for instance, hooked on the leeward side of your ship, then the whole hooking on is very, very dangerous because you will swapped overboard because you're hooked there. You want to be hooked there, but you can get in your broach and you're probably hooked on the wrong side. If you're hooked on in the middle, you're at least 10 times safer. So think about these things and talk about people, ask questions. Is my ship in this way, in the most safe way, connected? For instance, France and I chose to have a short line in the middle, port and starboard, so a little bit out of the center, that we could clip on within the cockpit, and we were only able to go to the mast. So we chose deliberately to click on at the mast. And why? Because first of all, we could find a free route between the cockpit and the mast, and that's basically the most often places you go, because that is also safety. Anything before the mast, while your lifeline is about 1 meter or 1.5 meters, so you can always step a little bit forward to the mast. But being on the nose, we try to avoid as much as possible, because that's the most unsafest place. So try to use good furlers, try to use other situations, other procedures, other technical solutions for problems you might think you have, and there might be easier solutions than you think. And if you don't have them, which is totally understandable, ask people who do have the knowledge, because in this yacht club we have a lot of people with a lot of knowledge, as of us, as an example. So think about it, because safety is a whole wide range of things. Hardware, obviously, good life jacket, but also what do you carry inside? PRB, AS, both things, these are 2 minimum items I would always be carrying. And I can also imagine that you're not always having your life vest on, but you have maybe your trousers more on. That was, at least in my case, the situation. So I put both my PRB and my AS in my trousers. I sewed them in my trousers. So I would always have them with me, because I never go out on my foredeck or in the middle deck without my trousers on, because getting wet is really, really not nice, unless there is like 25 degrees and 10 knots of wind or 8 knots of wind. So think out of the box. Try to think out of the box. And safety, again, is not about pinpointing, but it's the whole thing. Last but not least, self-reflection. To go to the second round, you need to look into yourself together. What are we going to do the next round? And it's really, really important. If you don't do that, you won't get enough out of the first round if you go through the circle. And going through the circle will help you getting your level up. Also, but anybody here who won a lot of races, we never went from the first step to the 10th step. We all had to step in between. Maybe we could swap sometimes 1 step. We could go 2 steps or 3 steps in a go, but we all had to make steps in between. So whenever you have a feeling that you're not going to make it, or you find it very difficult, take into account step by step and you will get there. Just keep on going. My last tip, my last thing, a lot of people talk about luck. And I had a very nice friend now. We met each other. I think he is smiling because he knows this sentence, because he told me that, and I really believe it. Luck is really when preparation meets opportunity. That is luck. Because if you're really, really prepared and a situation occurs that you have no influence in, then you can only take that occurrence when you do have the best preparation you could have. I hope you all wrote down a lot of questions. Thank you.
yeah, surprised. Yeah, this is from the live.
Heb je die nodig?
It's interesting to know
Ja,
that
pak de
we have,
microfoon.
at this moment 140 people
Oké.
watching from the Netherlands,
Dit is
Sweden,
verder, dit is
Germany,
terug, hè?
Norway,
Dat is verder
Lithuania,
terug en dit is
France, Belgium, and a lot of
Pointer.
people from Greece,
Ja.
Finland, and the USA. It's a big hand for them.
Ik denk dat Michel hem moet hebben.
Website, you can go to the yachtclubscheveningen.com site and you can also ask questions to the chat box.
Alsjeblieft.
A lot to carry here. Well, thank you, Anton, and viewers at home. From so many people abroad is really great who are attending this summit. The next masterclass, starring by John van der Starre.
Oh.
Before you get this mic, also an incredible track record. This is a summary of all he accomplished. He changed his career from windsurfing to double-handed sailing, really incredible, and won a lot of races. And with his former boat, the Ayato J122, he was a big, really big example together with Robin. For us, also for Moana J122. So thank you for being an example, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Michel. Can I have the
Yes,
remote? Yeah.
alsjeblieft.
Thank you, Michel. And Isbrand, a very nice story.
Thank you.
I think I also learned some things from you.
Nice.
I go to the next slide. Now, these two guys are having a lot of fun already for about, I think more than 15 years, Robin? Yeah. And that's always the main thing for us, to have fun. And when do you have fun? Of course, when you win races, but also the preparation, as Isbrand told, all the things you have to do on the boat to get the information.
Zo sta je goed.
Thank you.
For the viewers
the
at
camera.
home. Yeah.
So all those things make it worthwhile, and you also have a lot of fun with it. At least that's my opinion. And I think it's very important to get the things as right as possible. And one of the things is preparation and also some other things. And I will light those things in this masterclass. You see me here together with Robin. And we also have a third person on board. We're sailing double-handed, but the third person is very important, and that's the autopilot. And the autopilot, we call him Fred. We used to sail, when we sail full crew with Fred Imhoff, that's a famous sailor here in Holland. We learned very much, quite a lot of him. So he was a good helmsman also. So that's why we call the autopilot Fred. Now this is a nice shot on the boat we're sailing now. We used to sail the last years on the J122 Ayato. And the beginning of the year, Robin decided, with Connection X yachts, that we would change to an XR41 of X yachts. And that's a big challenge. And we're really looking forward to that. And it took a lot of preparation and a lot of work, but we get the boat moving now. So we're really looking forward to sail the worlds. Robin is the owner. He just invites me to sail with him, and I think we'll make a big fun. Okay, what's important for strategy and decision making? Also preparation, and not only preparation of the boat, but also the preparation of the information, how you get the information. All those things should be really well prepared. Of course, you can do a lot of things at home already in advance of the race, but also on board you need to get all the right information. And that takes some preparation. I will show you later. And of course, to get the right decisions is also important to get the navigation right. So what is happening on the North Sea? What restrictions do we have? And that's something that Wim will tell us later. Who uses expedition? Okay. Now I can tell you that's very, very important when you sail double-handed, that you have good software where you can put the information in, and that will help you to make a decision which way to go. And you have to sail fast, but you have to sail fast in the right direction. When you have all the preparation done and your boat is really fast, but you go the wrong way, you're not going to win. So it's preparation, get the right information and put it in the software that you can get the right decisions also from the software and also, of course, from other things, but software is very important. We use Expedition already, I think 12, 13 years. So I'm quite into this already. So yeah, here you see the screen I have on board with the number boxes, all the data I'm using while we are sailing. Of course, the chart is also very important. I used to use CMap, and this year we changed to Navionics. And the advantage of Navionics is that they give faster updates and easier updates. Information, what you can do in advance. Weather. What do which channels do I look to see what's the weather going to do in the race? And you can start, let's say, 14 days in advance. But when you see the weather 14 days in advance and the wind, you're very sure that's not going to be as it predicted those 14 days in advance. So I stopped with that. It makes you very nervous and yeah, it doesn't help. So maybe 2 or 3 days in advance when you have time, then I start looking at the weather forecast and make a plan of what we're going to do in the race. One of the things I first look at is the Bracknell. That is the Bracknell weather chart from UK Meteo, where you can see all the high pressure, low pressure, and the change that's going to be during the days in advance. And also what it's going to do the next day when you look. Is it changing very much? Is it faster? Let's say the fronts are getting faster to the place where you're sailing or not. So that's very, very important information. Another important source is squid. Are you familiar with squid? One person, two persons. Now it's a cheap way. You have a abonnement. How do you say that in English?
Subscription.
Subscription. You pay, I think it's about 50 euros or so. And you can get all the information you want. So you download an app, and in the app you can choose what you want to download or what you want to see. And you can compare all the models and also use it as a grip in Expedition. Here you can see 4 models I use a lot of time. So that's Aroma, Harmony, ECMWF, and GFS. GFS is quite rough. It's not influenced by thermal circumstances, coast, and that's, for example, Aroma. It uses all the other things like heating of the land. A lot of things are also included in that model. Now, for example, predict wind is another another site what you can look to see what the wind is going to do. Now, probably a lot of you guys know Predict Wind. You can choose the model and you can see what's the wind going to do. Nowadays, they have a few new models. That's PWAI. And there is another AI model, and I think they're pretty good. With the AI extra, they give a real good prediction. But how good is the prediction? You can check that also in Predict Wind. In the validation, you can see that over here in the bottom. I go to the next slide. And in the validation, you can see in the next or in the last week or month, which model was the most accurate. So they compare what's the real wind and what was the prediction. And then you can see exactly which model was the best. And that's a thing that, is very important to use the right model. And the North Sea, the coast here in Holland is predictable, but it's always difficult. So I take a lot of value in this. Another thing is how are you going to say that? You can look, let's say, 3 or 4 days in advance, but depending on the weather system, it's a good prediction or a bad prediction. When there are a lot of low pressures and high pressures and moving around Europe, it's not very sure that it's going to be the weather you see, let's say, 3 or 4 days in advance. In Wettercentrale is a piece where you can really check that good. So let's say you see here the isobars between all the low and the high pressures on 0, that's at this moment, and you can see that the different models have all different colors, that the isobars are the same. So the models are quite similar, so they have the same prediction. But when you look at, for example, 3 days in advance, you can see that all those lines differ. And the more different the lines are, very unpredictable. So you should look so far ahead that you can say, okay, these lines compare. And it depends on what low pressure, what high pressure, what the distance between those lines is. So this is also for me a big point. How far ahead can I look? Now, all that information you can do in advance, but also on board. And when you're sailing your double-handed race, for example, a fastnet, you're 4 days on the water, you can't go on the information you have, you got when you were on shore. You have to get the information also on board. So you can take one computer, but you can also take 2. Here we had a little breakdown on the board computer. It was during a fastnet, I don't know which one. We sailed several ones, but this one, I had to use my spare computer, so I have always an extra computer with me that I can start up and take the information from that computer. What I did there was with a USB stick, get the grip files, put it in the other computer, and see what the results were. Let's say 50% of the time, I'm downstairs at the computer. So, sailing is nice. I think windsurfing was maybe even nicer because you're in the wind all the time. So it's more and more getting to a computer game. A little bit of pity, but it's all in the game, and I like it. So how do we get all that information on board? Now, a big change was Starlink. The previous years we used Iridium. We also used it to England this year. It was a disaster. and I could also see all the boats with the Starlink. And we said to each other, Robin and I, we have to change. We have to go to Starlink. And that's a big advantage because you're on the internet like you're at home. Sorry? No, it's when you think of getting on internet on board, take Starlink. I don't like Elon Musk. I'm totally against him. But his internet is okay. And I think in the Ukraine, they think the same. They're happy with Elon. Now, on board to get that information is a little bit different than at home. I use an offshore app from PredictWind. You can take the part you want to see the information of, take the model, and you get a grip file and put the grip file in Expedition. Another thing that's very nice when you have Starlink is that you can see the actual wind on the track, on the North Sea, where you're sailing or where you're going to sail. So here you see different points on the map with the wind actual at this time. Not this time, but the time I made this slide. And of course, that's very, very good information that you can see what you can expect when you go to the next mark. So I used it quite a lot. And with Iridium, this was impossible. Another important thing is current. The wind is important, you get that information, but the current is also a big thing on the North Sea. It depends on what period of tide you have, spring tide or dead tide. But to get the right information, is very important. You have several ways to do that. In Expedition, you have My Grip. You see that here. And when you click that, you make the part you want to see, and you can choose the day for the grip files for current. Sorry. And you load it in Expedition or Adrena or whatever, and you can see exactly what the current is going to do. Another possibility is TiTech. That's a little bit more accurate, only you have to pay for that. For example, the Fastnet, we always use TiTech because then the other grips are not very accurate. And TiTech is a little bit better, I think. And maybe for the North Sea, the difference is not that big. But when you want to do good in the World Championship, we're going to use TiTech. All those grips you load in Expedition, current, wind, all the models, and then you can make an optimum course with the course you already have put in Expedition. You're going to sail. Here you see the vuurschepen race. We have to go around the wind farm, across the North Sea. There's another wind farm here. We have to, not to cross, but to go on the bottom or on the top. And you see the difference in the models. One model goes under and the other model goes above. So what you're going to do? This is in advance. When you're at a race course, for example, you're passing this wind farm, you get new information, new grip files, and you run the optimal course again. And then most of the times it's clear to go bottom or top. In ECMWF, you have also an ensemble. That's a grip file with a little bit difference they make. So you get 13, 14 different grip files. And then you see which one goes under and which one goes above. And that's a percentage you could choose to use it, which way to go. So in the time you're sailing and getting new grips, you will know which way to go. And of course, it's only a help. For example, when you load the grip files, and every time you see that the grips are 20 degrees off for example, more to the left, then the real wind, you have to change it in expedition, change that little bit of shift and run it again. And then you get a total different story. Another nice item is rain viewer, buienradar. That's also in expedition. So when a front is passing, yeah, it's very important to know when the front is coming. And here you can see the front over the Netherlands. So let's example, when you sail here, you have exactly a notification when the front is coming and when the wind is turning to the right. And you can already change your course to make it most profitable. Buienradar is another option. IS, also another information source that's very important. Of course, you have IS from your Mariphone, from your VHF, but it's only 20 miles around. For example, a fastnet, yeah, the difference between the boats in double-handed are more than 20 miles after 1 or 2 days. So then Starlink is a big advantage. You can see all the boats, so also all the different boats, and see what they're doing in speed and course. So you know what's coming in advance. Is there wind? Is there no wind? Do we have to go more to the coast or more to the sea? That's also very important information. That's on the internet. Here you see my favorites, what I use on board on the internet. So that's Weathercentrale, Predict Wind, the Bracknell Weather Charts, Windy, Marine Traffic, and some Dutch internet sources also to see what wind it will bring. There's also IS is very important. In the years we sailed the fastnet, I can remember one time, let's say that was 2013, 2015, coming close to the rock. We could, clearly head to the rock, but then we saw an IS that close to the shore, because of the current, they had 3 or 4 knots extra speed. And at first, we didn't believe it. But then we looked together, Robin and I said, we have to go there. It was a way around, but it made a gain unbelievable. So that's a thing on IS.
Een paar minuutjes.
Yeah, I'm almost ready.
Gaat het
Don't
lukken?
worry. Now, in the first slide, I said preparation, information, navigation. Now, a thing in navigation, of course, on the North Sea, is the restriction zones. So the TSS's, where you can't cross. Yeah, and that's a really big thing you have to take care of. For example, the North Sea race, we have a choice to go like this or like that, and that makes a big difference. Of course, we don't know what the course will be in the World Championship, but maybe that's in it. So, in advance, take really good care. What are the TSS's and what are the restriction zones? And that's another advantage in expedition that you can put it in. Or Adrena, probably the same. Okay. I told you I was about 50% of the time down at the computer, at the PC. But nowadays you have good tablets. And I used to do that with an iPad. But the disadvantage of an iPad is the sunlight. And we used a program from Microsoft. And when you use a tablet, the program on the PC downstairs was gone. And you have to start it up again. So now we work with Sailproof. That's a very rigid tablet and VNC viewer. And they work together. So when you change something in the tablet, it also changes into the PC and back and forth. So I'm very happy with it. So I can reduce my time downstairs. Now, another thing, you're at the computer, at the PC, all the information, you see the optimal route, you can use the autopilot, you can go to sleep and the boat will sail the course. That's not the way to do it. Always look around you. What's the weather doing? What are the clouds? Is something different than expedition says? So you always have to stay in contact with the world around you. Very important. See you at the starting line. Like this.
John, thank you so much for your masterclass. And I think Elon must be thankful for your talk. Hope everybody is using Starlink next offshore, and we will look at each other then. Next speakers are Yvonne and Erik. Yvonne Beusker and, other way around.
Sorry.
Yvonne Beusker and Erik van Vuren. They together are the most successful Dutch mixed double-handed offshore sailing duo. Yvonne made history as skipper of the first all-female duo to compete in the Fastnet race. Erik secured his historic overall victory in the Admiral's Cup and built an extraordinary record of national and international titles. For them, I have a second card because there are two of them. Their status as a golden sailing duo began 14 years ago with a breakthrough performance in the global ocean race. Since then, they have claimed major victories together. And in 2024, they reached the final of the double-handed mixed duo world championships. And here they are with their masterclass.
Kijk voor deze voor jou.
Super.
Good
There we are.
afternoon. Good afternoon. Wow. Big crowd here and also online. Thank you. Yeah, so here we are. Already since, 2010, we are racing together. And, well, we have experienced some ups, some downs, some bumps and bruises here and there, as we all do. Yeah, we're proud to be here and also to take you to what we have learned so far. I think that saves you some bumps and bruises then in that case. So we know from our other pros, we know from each brand how to prepare everything, you know, how to get your ship shape. We also know what gear to buy. Thank you, John. And what are the latest on the information. But basically it comes down to how are we going to put everything together? Because it's a bit like, you know, cooking a great meal. You can have the best ingredients in the world, but I mean, if you can't fix it in a proper meal, it's not working, yeah? So we're going to help you out a bit on that. First.
Fantastic. Thank you, Yvonne. After many years, we are still in love with each other. So that's one of the most important things in double-handed racing, that you like each other. So first tip, maybe the best tip for today. Of course, what you see here on the picture, it's not photoshopped. It's real. It's me. But I really like to have marks on the boat, on sheets, on halyards, on deck. And why? Because it gives you much more time to discuss things with your co-skipper or skipper. And because, for example, if you make a tack and you have to take a lot of time to look at your sail, if it is trimmed well, it's valuable time, which you normally can use for your tactics or your strategy. And if you put some marks on your sheets, I don't want to say that you have to put it always on the same mark, But if you have made two tags and the circumstances are still the same, you can use that mark to put the sheet directly on the same position as what you had before. And that saves a lot of time, saves a lot of discussion what you want to avoid on the boat, because you want to make speed, you want to win the race. So smart time, that is what I mean, smart time management. And with skill-based preparations, it's all about that you have, you both on the boat have the same responsibilities, but you have, on some parts, you have clear ownership. One of them is responsible for the tactics, the other is more responsible for the equipment what you have on deck. But both of you need to know how it works. And maybe a simple thing like how to start the engine, it's not only for safety, but also it is a thing what gives you a rest. Why? If one of you is sleeping and you have to go inside the boat to wake up the other in the boat to ask, how do I have to start this engine? Because the batteries are low in charge and I have to start the engine. The other is, Yvonne will be going mad and says, hey, Kai, that's something what you need to know, because now I have to come out of the bed to switch the engine on, to charge the batteries. It's a small example, but everyone will recognize it, that these are the key moments that you can use your time better and more effective. Yvonne and me are sailing since 2010, but in 2012 was a moment that Yvonne came on board during the Colorado Ocean Race. I was started the leg with Nico Budel on the Sakai, same boat what Isbrand sailed on in 2012. And Yvonne was for a few days on the boat, and we came with fantastic circumstances. We were reaching with the A5 Jenaker with nice speeds, 15, 20 knots. It was fantastic weather and we had a lot of fun together. And then the most important thing what we have learned during that race, there was a moment in the early evening that we say to each other, it was a really nice day, but now someone of us has to go down to get the sleep. And at that moment, Yvonne was just a few minutes below deck. Dark clouds came in, 35, 40 knots of wind. And then at that moment, all the electronics switched off. A big problem with electronics. And then I said to Yvonne, okay, you have to help me come out of your bed. And at the end, okay, we were able to solve the problem. But then we had one big mess. I'm hanging there. Oh, sorry. I'm hanging there in the mast to get the Jenaker out of the forestay. We were still able to have a good communication with each other, but with some stress in it. And that is all about, because you have no energy anymore. So one of the most important things is, if you have the possibility to take a nap, to take your rest, even when you're doing the World Championship, maybe with a race for 36 hours, so you don't go below deck for 4, 5, 6 hours, maybe for 1 hour, maybe take your rest as soon as it can, as you are able to do it, because you need the energy to perform well during the whole race. It's normal that you will start talking with each other, but if you have the possibility to do a short nap, it's one of the most important things what you can do. Oh.
And even after a shitty time, sometimes, lighten up a bit. Okay, shit happens. That's what it is. Imagine what it is. It's all about marketing. So we have a new brand and we go on again. I think that's also one of the things that we do. Once in a while, lighten up a bit. Okay, right. And then it's easier to go on. And we have more. This one was beer. We invent all kinds of brands, but in this case, we like the beer. Go ahead.
Also, about having enough drink on the boat, and I don't think that Coca-Cola will be the best one to have with you during an offshore race. But one of the main factors to have irritation between people, and even with a duo, can be because you are drinking not enough. So you need a lot of water to drink to get the same, to have a good feeling on the boat and to be happy with each other. Switching roles, and that's really nice because Sean told us a lot about the autopilot, about Fred. And what I've learned, this is another tip, when you're sailing with your autopilot, sometimes you're sailing too long on the autopilot. What I'm doing over here is I'm sitting with the helm in my hand and also with the sheet. And the reason for that is that I want to feel the boat sometimes. I want to feel the boat. How's the boat? Everyone knows that the behavior of your boat is one of the most important things to know if is the speed okay, and that is the only way to do it. To get if you have the helm in your hand, and even with the sheets, so you can get a perfect trim and balance in the boat. But also, you see here the iPad, because if someone else is down and you are sitting outside with your weight on top of the rail, it's really nice when you have all the instruments, but that's exactly what Sean was telling us. That is how nice it is to have everything, all the instruments what you need, that you have it close by. And that is what makes that trimming and helming at some times that you do it all by yourself, that you get a great feeling by the boat, and that is the best way to get the best speed out of your boat.
Communication, you know. Right, managing fatigue and staying focused. Looking a bit at yourself. I mean, there's no hiding, you know, once you're on board, that's what it is. Make believe doesn't work, you know, especially if you're longer out there. You know, the man with a hammer will hit you anyway. So don't, you know, just be open, be frank to yourself, but also to your buddy. So one of the things is always, how can you stay as focused as you can? I mean, that's quite a good idea. If you want to go fast, you've decided together that you want to win. You understand now, yeah, you've had some lessons from John. You know the direction you want to head. I mean, your rudders are in perfect shape because you talked to Eastbrand. I mean, you know, let's go now. So, but we have to stay fit. I mean, your engine, your body, your mind. I mean, once you're on shore, you think, okay, easy done. But once you're out there, fatigue can come in. How can you manage it? Well, I mean, it's like a car engine. It needs some gas in there once in a while. That is food. And that is water, lots of water. I mean, once you stop that, I mean, you get cranky, you get, you know, naggy and all that. Doesn't help you with the atmosphere. And even at one point, that ice cold beer won't do the trick anymore. So know that, but also know it from one another. I mean, if you know that someone needs more routine, you know, you have to deal with that. When someone wants to take a break, know it. For me, for example, I mean, I can have small naps and all that. I've raced with another partner who really needed, you know, more hours of sleep. That's how you find a way to deal with it, because in the end, it's about the goal, that is to win. You know the right direction, your gear is in top-notch condition. So it's all about you and your teammate making the right decisions. And also have, well, our autopilot is Nikki. Maybe you know why. It's something with a brand. And you also know that one has to be, you know, well suitable for the both of you. So stay focused. You can only do it when you're feeling well, when you're feeling in top conditions. Having said that, if it's a longer race, you know you won't be as fit as you are at the start or halfway or even in the end. Well, in the end, you might get some adrenaline coming in, but halfway you will see it going down. Manage what to do with it. Know if it's food, if it's, you know, something to chew on, whatever. Yeah, find your way on that, but be open, be frank with one another, because there's just no hiding. Well, this is sometimes, you know, it's the sunshine and the nice clouds that we just saw, but sometimes it's just shitty stuff, a lot of rain, a lot of wind, and also then you need to stay focused. Make sure you don't get wet and cold. Doesn't help either. But sometimes it even gets worse. Oh, well, you can't really see that, but it's one of those emojis, you know, which looks like
Er is zo'n shit on the screen.
there's a lot of shit on the screen. Yeah, sorry about that. So sometimes, you know, it goes from bad to worse. What do you do? What does it do with you as a human, as a team? Well, basically, your brain kind of shrinks at the level of a peanut. Not anything bigger than that, if you're lucky. That basically means you're not going to invent anything at that point onwards. Everything you will rely on has to be prepped up front, together as a team, with the boat, with all the preparation that we talked about. All that can give you a good feeling once you're out there. You're not going to invent anything smart at that point in time. So also with your buddy, the one you're sailing with, that is not only if you're sailing double-handed, that's basically also when you're sailing as a team. Also when you're sailing as a team, that means prepare, go take step one by one, make the decisions together. That gives you peace of mind, and you can just worry about all the other stuff that's going on at that time. That is really a key takeaway that I would give everyone who likes to go on offshores. In essence, double-handed sailing, basically, it's all about trust. Trust the equipment you're dealing with. Trust the stuff that you've been working on in a boat, but especially trust your buddy. Be open, be frank, no hiding. Know your strength, know your weaknesses, deal with it. And also, you know, are you on the same page, you know? Is winning the same definition for one as it is for the other? Sometimes isn't. Also, it's about being smart. I mean, I told you, you have all these ingredients, you know. How can you make it the smartest possible way? I mean, especially in double-handed sailing, you're only two, you know. You see there's full crew teams you might be competing against. I mean, they got quite a few more hands. How can you still compete to them while you're only two with 4 hands on? Sailing smarter has nothing to do with force, has nothing to do with big mouth, has nothing to do with egos. It has to do with smart, being smart. And that's one of the things, especially Eric's good at this one, never stop learning, never stop experimenting. There's always a way to do things better. There's always something to take a step beyond. Maybe it's out of the ordinary. Hey, try it, give it a go. Especially I know maybe a story you want to tell about our last World Championship that, you know.
Which part?
Well, that was the one that we were kind of catching up on the French, and we kind of did some crazy stuff with the sails.
During the final race, we had a fantastic start. We were first off the line, and then we had big problems with our Code Zero because it was really difficult to get it stable. So we from the first place we ended at the 5th, and we had no idea what to do about it. And then you can say, okay, it's about the sail. But then we started practicing with the halyard and put more tension on it, less tension, and it took us about an hour. And then we started flying again. And that was the moment that Yvonne said, well, that's the big difference. That you don't think, well, okay, we can't do anything about it. We have to start working on it, how to get the boat faster. And that is, you can always learn. And that is the nice thing, what you all can share. That's all about sailing.
Okay. I hope you have a lot of very difficult questions. We'll see that later on. Well, thank you for being here and listening to our stories. And we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Yvonne and Erik, for your story. Now we are prepared. We have all the winning tactics. We know the weather. We have A big, nice teamwork. What else is there? Well, that's Wim van Sloten. We asked him to reveal something about the course of the Worlds in May 2026. So he will tell us something about it and enhance your chances to win.
Thank you.
Wim van Sloten.
Thanks. I'm Wim. I'm a member of this sailing club for the last 12 years, I think. I'm also a member of the racing committee, and I've been looking at possible courses.
Sorry.
This is the racing schedule. The dates are obvious, but the main thing that was concerning me are the last 3 points. And that has to do with the 48 and 60-hour time frames. So whatever course we make, they have to fit within these time frames, 48 to 60 hours. And if you have a look at the handicaps of the boats involved, we have 3 classes. They all sail the same course. And I can tell you the difference between the XR41, John is sailing, and there's a Corby 26. Can you imagine a 26 having the same course? There's a lot of difference in elapsed time. John was talking about the North Sea. This is our sailing backyard. And when it's there, it looks nice. It's open. You know, there's a lot of water, there's a lot of space. But I have to say, in reality, in the last 10 years, a lot has changed. And it's looking like this. There's a lot of attractions have been introduced, like wind farms, traffic systems. We have several platforms along the way, and of course, anchorage areas. So there's a lot of things we have to reckon with. The other thing is that we also always have to check our course with the authorities. So the Dutch Coast Guard will have a say in this as well. I came up with a course. Actually, this is the first thing instinctively that came up to me. This is a combination of the famous and the classic lightship race to Harwich, and in combination with the Royal Ocean Racing Club has a North Sea race returning back to Schevingen. So if we make a combination of this is the baseline. It's preliminary, and it means it will change. And but you have to start somewhere, and this is a start. It's 245 miles, and I did some routing for the J109. I have reliable polars, so I can, within a reasonable time frame, I can tell what the elapsed time for Firestorm will be by J109. We have 3 classes, as I told you, and I'm picking for every class, I'm just picking one boat. So class A are the fastest boats. It's my comparison is with the XR41. It's a really fast boat. Class B, the J109 is in the middle of class B. And then we have class C, there's a Corby 25. And Corby is by far, has the biggest, well, it's not biggest handicap, but it is the slowest boat by far. So whatever course I'm making, I always have to take account their elapsed time. This is a nice one. I hope it stays on. This is the routing for Firestorm. For all the other viewers, Schevingen is down there on the right, and we go in clockwise. There we go. It's a very small boat. This is the routing, so up to Harwich, sort of, going back to Smith Knoll. It's coming back.
It's coming back.
Okay, and then there's an interesting point. What do you do with the big wind farm, the Hollandse Kust South big wind farm? basically there are two ways to go around it, clockwise or anti-clock, over the north or the south. And it's a really nice tactical option, I think. Well, let's have a look at the routing itself. This is a bit more accessible. I was showing the routing with, by the way, that's an important thing. I was showing the routing with the current, and there's a reason for it. In May, it's not uncommon for very light winds in May. Last year, we found ourselves in the middle of the North Sea, anchoring in about 50 meters, just to prevent us going backwards. And it's something to keep in mind. The North Sea is relatively shallow, so it's about 50 meters. I think we were in 50 meters, but my anchoring line and a little chain is 50 meters, so we tied all the mooring lines together and we were staying at the right place. It was an interesting moment to see no speed off ground, but the paddle wheel was rolling. That's because of the current. Let's have a look at what the numbers it produces. This is for the firestorm. The elapsed time, I did a reverse calculation to in a sort of spreadsheet style. From my elapsed time, I could calculate the time for the XR41, which is, my time is 42 hours. The XR41 would be 39 hours. And then the thing that worried me most is, what will the Corby do? Will it fit within the 48-hour time frame? And it does indeed, 47 hours. Just so, it seems that this course is with moderate conditions. I took these grip files from last week. I think they were about, wind was between 10 and 15 knots. So this could be a good starting point. 245 miles, but we can expand it. It's not sure we're going to have this one, but it's a starting point. For moderate winds, it's okay. For very light winds, we could modify it into a 216 miles course. And if we have stronger winds, then we can expand it to 288. So these are the options. And of course, there's the first race we have to do is a coastal race between 8 and 10 hours. And that could be something like this. I tried to go around the Hollandse Kust, but the wind park, the big wind park in the middle, but that's not feasible because the Corby won't make that. Okay, thank you, and see you in May.
Thank you a lot, Wim van Sloten. He's very dedicated and makes a lot of interesting courses for us in the Yacht Club Schevingen to race. Very experienced. I see we have 211 viewers in the live stream right now. Well, maybe you can, at home, you can make yourself a cup of tea or coffee. We have a break, and after that, the Winning Tactics Cafe. And I hope you made some questions for us. We will answer them at the table with all the pros. See you later. Have a nice break.